On the 11th line of a household ledger, kept in 1974, one word is written twice. Sugar. In February, 5 pounds, 69 cents. On the same page, 7 months later, in the same pencil, 5 pounds, $2.89. Nothing about the sugar changed. It was the same white sugar from the same store, poured into the same jar on the same kitchen counter. What changed was the year around it. This is that ledger, reconstructed line by line from the price records the government itself kept that year. The Bureau of Labor Statistics average retail prices, the Census family budget, the United States Department of Agriculture food plans. Every figure in it is real. The household is the composite those numbers describe. A single paycheck family, a little above the middle, in one of the worst years of grocery inflation the country had ever measured. We are going to read it the way the family who kept a book like this read it, line by line. Forget the headlines and the speeches, the pencil, the prices, the arithmetic a mother did at a kitchen table on a Thursday night, trying to make a paycheck reach a Sunday. Here is what the book shows, up front. In 1 year, the food this family bought climbed close to 15%. Sugar quadrupled. And there was no trick that beat it. They absorbed it the only way anyone could, by subtraction, taking things off the table one line at a time. The rest of this is the record of exactly what left. Let me set the table first, the way the ledger does. At the top of the book, before any groceries, comes the income. One paycheck. In 1974, the average American production worker earned a little over $150 a week before taxes, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Census Bureau put the median family income for the year at about $12,800. Call it $246 a week, gross, for the family a little above the middle. Take out federal tax, state tax, and Social Security, and the number that actually walked in the door on Friday was closer to $200. $200 a week. Hold that number. Every line below is measured against it. Now the food. The United States Department of Agriculture published something called the Moderate Cost Food Plan, a weekly grocery budget for a family of 4. Early in 1974, that plan ran around $45 a week. By the end of the year, the same plan, the same amount of food, the same 4 people had climbed toward the mid-50s. Roughly $9 more a week for nothing extra. $9 a week is more than $450 a year, appearing out of the air, taken from a household that already spent a full week's take-home every month just to eat. That is the shape of it. Now the individual lines, because the average hides the story, and the story is in the items. Start with bread. In 1974, a 1-pound loaf of white bread averaged about a third of $1.35, up from around 28 cents the year before. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracked it every month in cities across the country, in the same weekly ads from the A&P and Kroger that this family read at the kitchen table. And every month, the number climbed. 6 cents on a loaf sounds like nothing, but this family bought 4 loaves a week. 6 cents, 4 loaves, 52 weeks, nearly $13 a year on bread alone for the exact same bread. Turn to eggs. A dozen large eggs averaged about 78 cents in 1974 by the Bureau's Retail Price Series. A gallon of fresh whole milk, roughly $1.40. These are the quiet lines. They did not double. They crept. And creeping is how inflation actually works on a household. Not the dramatic item you notice, the 10 small items you do not, each one a few cents heavier than the week before. All of them at once, week after week, until the same cart that cost $32 in the spring costs $38 in the fall, and you cannot say exactly where the $6 went. The family could say where it went. That is what the ledger is for. The line that hurt was meat. And you cannot read the 1974 meat lines without turning back 1 year. In the spring of 1973, beef prices had climbed so fast that American housewives organized a national meat boycott. For 1 week that April, millions of families simply stopped buying beef to protest a price that had gotten away from them. It was on the evening news and in the national magazines, and it worked about as well as shouting at the weather. The government had frozen retail prices under the Economic Stabilization Act, but the freeze did not lower prices. It jammed the machine. Ranchers, told they could not get more for their cattle, held the cattle back. Shelves went empty. When the controls came off in 1974, the prices that had been held underwater came up all at once, gasping. So in this ledger, ground beef runs about 88 cents a pound through 1974 by the Bureau's average retail figures, and the keeper buys less of it than she used to. You can see it in the book. The pound of ground beef in January becomes 3/4 of a pound by summer. The Sunday roast, round steak at about $1.50 a pound, appears in January and February, and then stops appearing. In its place, chicken, cheaper, beans, a casserole stretched with more noodles and less meat. Nobody wrote a note explaining the change. The change is just there, in what got bought and what stopped getting bought. The ledger does not editorialize, it records. And now the 11th line, the sugar. We started there, so let me tell you what actually happened on that line, because it is the single most dramatic price movement in the entire book, and it is almost forgotten now. In 1974, the retail price of sugar in the United States roughly quadrupled. It began the year around 15 cents a pound. By late autumn, it was near 65 cents a pound at the peak, 4 times the money in 1 year for the most basic ingredient in the American kitchen. 2 things collided to do it. First, the world sugar crop came up short, and the United States imported a large share of its sugar, so a global shortage landed directly on an American grocery shelf. Second, on the 31st of December, 1974, the Sugar Act, a federal law that had regulated and stabilized sugar prices in this country since 1948, was allowed to expire. For most of the year, the market saw it coming, and the price ran ahead of the expiration like water ahead of a broken dam. Now watch what one quadrupling line does to a real budget. This family did what families did. They canned. They put up jam in the late summer, tomatoes, fruit from a tree in the yard. Every one of those recipes calls for sugar, pounds of it. So the sugar line in this ledger is not a cup here and there. It is 5 pounds, 10 pounds, bought in the season when sugar was climbing fastest. The 69 cents in February became $2.89 in November. I think this is the quiet cruelty of that year. The very thing the household did to save money, preserving its own food instead of buying it, got taxed the hardest by the one price that ran the wildest. That is what the ledger captures that the inflation rate never will. The official number for 1974 was that consumer prices rose about 11% by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and food at home rose more, close to 15%. But 11% is an average across a whole nation and a whole shelf. No family lives at the average. This family lived at the sugar line, at the beef line, at the 4 loaves of bread. The 11% was the temperature of the room. The ledger is the burn on the hand. So what did $200 a week actually do by December? Add the lines up the way she did at the bottom of the page. The groceries that took $45 a week in the winter took closer to the mid-50s by the following winter. The gap had to come from somewhere, because the paycheck did not grow to match. Production wages rose in 1974 too, by the Bureau's earnings figures, but slower than prices, which is the entire meaning of that ugly word from these years. Stagflation. Your pay goes up, your prices go up faster. You are running and losing ground, and the ledger is the record of exactly how much ground, week by week. The family found the $9 the only place it can be found. Not from the bank, because savings paid less than inflation, so $1 left in the account quietly shrank. Not from a raise that outran the shelf, because there wasn't one. They found it by subtraction. The roast became chicken. The name brand became the store brand. The year the store brands really arrived, the new coat waited another winter. The second pound of ground beef became $1. Every dollar the sugar took, the household took back somewhere else, and the somewhere else is written in this book in the plainest possible ink. The things that stopped being bought. There is a temptation, reading a ledger like this, to turn it into a lesson, to turn the pencil marks into advice, to say, here is the secret system that beat inflation. Do this, and you will be safe. I want to be careful not to do that, because it would be a lie, and worse, it would be a disrespect to the people who actually kept books like this. They did not beat 1974. Nobody beat 1974. They survived it, tired by giving things up, and the ledger is honest about the cost in a way that a list of clever tips never is. What the ledger gives us instead is truer than advice. It is evidence. It is proof in a household's own hand that a number as abstract as an 11% inflation rate is never actually abstract. It arrives as sugar at 69 cents, becoming sugar at $2.89. It arrives as a Sunday roast that quietly leaves the table. You feel it at a specific kitchen, on a specific Thursday, in the difference between what the paycheck was and what the week cost. 50 years later, we reach for the same tool. When prices move now, we do the same arithmetic this family did at the same kind of table, in an app instead of a book. The pencil was honest. It recorded what the year did to the money, and it did not let anyone forget it because it was written down. The 11th line is still there. Sugar, 5 pounds, 69 cents. And underneath it, in the same hand, 7 months later, $2.89. One family, 1 year, one page that explains the whole thing. There are other ledgers, other years, kept in the same plain hand. The numbers in them are real. They record without argument what a year can do to $1.